Hello, welcome to the Black Lit Review. I'm Jeremy, and this is the most popular book by a black author in U.S. schools right now, Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. It was published in 2017 as a narrative poetry book and in 2020 as a graphic novel. It follows Will Holloman, a 15-year-old black kid living in a deadly urban city. At the start of the book, Will's brother Sean has just died, and the rest of the plot is Will decides to find and kill the person who killed his brother. On the way to commit this murder, he gets haunted by a series of ghosts who physically, emotionally, and psychologically abuse him to try to convince him not to commit the murder. Long Way Down is seen by educators, students, and casual readers of all ages as a book that captures the real-life struggles of urban black people in a mostly accurate way. But a big problem with Long Way Down is that the characters' motivations are actually very poorly conceived. Our main character Will's motivation throughout the book is to follow a set of rules. These rules were created as a guide to help keep people in his community relatively safe as they navigate his violent neighborhood. However, Will is following these rules for the sake of following him, and they're not meant to be used that way. They're more like things to keep in the back of your mind than they are a primary motivation. Will's focus on the rules leads to situations where he comes off as not really human. Instead of being a misguided, desperate teen who's actually mourning the death of his brother, Will is made a very stubborn, careless person dedicated to a life philosophy that doesn't make sense. Since Will's motivation is off, so is the approach of everyone who talks to him. They repeatedly show him that the rules are not logical, which doesn't take much effort because they aren't really meant to be logical. And these characters' arguments don't change Will's mind because he's not supposed to be running on logic. It's just that the underlying motivations, the anger and sadness that would usually drive someone to commit a revenge killing, those weren't written into the book enough. And these supporting characters also each come with their own set of problems, portraying a variety of stereotypes. There's a bumbling drug dealer, a heartless bully, a no-nonsense disciplinarian father. They're characters that seem like they could be good ideas because they're not entirely stereotypes, but the book moves too quickly to develop them into fuller characters. And they're also not meant to be fuller characters. They're ghosts when we meet them. Their humanity was stripped away on purpose. Yet enough of it was retained to make them feel like real people, even as they act in ghostly, inhuman ways towards our one real main character. All of this results in a world where urban black society is full of reckless caricatures. No one seems to be able to take care of each other. They just ridicule and abuse and torment each other, and the consequences are devastating. But the answers to these problems? Everyone's aware of them. They're simple enough that they're constantly tossed around in conversation, but the problems still exist because the characters just decide to not do the right thing. The messages that Long Way Down send about urban black people, the root causes of their conflicts, and their thoughts and actions responding to those conflicts are very misleading. The lessons that teachers usually create about this book fail to account for any of these issues. Typical lessons are focused on writing analysis, so kids learn about wordplay and characterization and narrative structure, not society. When lessons are focused on social analysis, though, it often reinforces all the problems that the book creates. Activities like character autopsies encourage students to see the ghosts and Will as more human-like and more defined than they actually are, instead of acknowledging and counteracting their stereotypical inhuman nature. When teachers use interviews or articles that are meant to go along with the book, oftentimes they further reinforce stereotypes. There are good questions about Long Way Down that would encourage students to interrogate the book and learn about black urban society in real life, but they're in adult reading guides that would be quite difficult to make good lessons out of. This is a bad book to teach with. It's exciting and engaging and very misleading as it advances harmful messages about urban black society that are difficult to counteract. I don't think it should be used in schools. So I've developed some alternative lessons using other texts. They are just as exciting and engaging and full of literary concepts that students can learn from, and they speak to very similar subject matter, but they handle it in more responsible ways. These texts are the poems Flash by Gabrielle Smith, When the Hood Loves You Back by Stephen Willis, and the opening pages of the novel How It Went Down by Kekla Magoon. In the collection I'm sharing, you'll also see a lesson inspired by the song Today Was a Good Day by Ice Cube, although the song wouldn't actually be used in class. I've also included an extended lesson idea that would require class sets of the book How It Went Down, but everything else in the collection is freely available online. What these other texts and lessons do that you can't do with Long Way Down is encourage students to engage with real-life urban Black society, understand and process the feelings of urban Black people going through tragedy, and critically examine how a story gets created as they learn about all of the characters in it. I hope to get this collection into the hands of as many teachers as possible to spread the word that Long Way Down has major issues and there are better options available. Please like and share this video, and if you want to learn more about Long Way Down's problems, check out the series of videos where I go into this in depth.